We haven't even talked about Russia. Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's spooky shit that's going on now too, because Ukraine is now in Russia attacking.
Yeah. If you had said when we got together the last time, if you said you think Ukraine might invade Russia,
Right.
Yeah, first time they've had an invading army on their turf since World War II.
Crazy.
And now apparently it looks like they hold up to Ukrainian military is holding up to about 500 square miles of territory.
Wow.
Right? So, and they've just made some moves in a different section of Russia, not the Kursk region, but the Belgorod region, and so they've had some incursions into there. Like they may think about maybe we're going to open up a second front, and it is fascinating. The Russians have had the Putin initially kind of dismissed it a little bit. You know, he was sort of like, it's just a one-time thing. Then they hung in there, and then they've established supply lines, and now there's 200,000 plus residents in that region of the Kursk region that have been displaced. So what do you got? You got a lot of population upset about this, right? So now you got more news internally that isn't a good thing for Putin. He's always worried about, sort of popular unrest, like any dictator would be, and so it is fascinating, and they've been using U.S. and NATO munitions, right? So remember, there was first 2 years, the Biden White House was like, nope, you can't use U.S. munitions, for striking targets inside Russia. And then recently, it was okay just along the border, and now, fuck it, they're well into the Kursk region, and so it's very fascinating. It's also very worrisome, right? You've got Belarus has put a third of their military on the border that they have with Ukraine, and Belarus is run by a guy named Lukashenko, who's basically a Putin puppet. So you have to wonder: are they going to try to, stretch Ukraine resources thin? How long can they hold territory inside Russia? I mean, I would argue that basically this is a ploy, and it seems like that's the way it's playing out with some comments from Zelensky over the past couple of days, that it's a move to try to strengthen their hand, to force Putin to the table to come up with some type of negotiated settlement, right? And Zelensky came out and said, look, I've got a proposal that I'm going to present to Biden or whomever's in charge at the UN General Assembly Week in September, I think it is, in New York. And he's being more open about now in the past day or so of talking about how this move into Russia is all about creating a better negotiating situation for them. And he's right? The only way you get Putin to the table and get something meaningful for Ukraine is if he's feeling pain. And this is causing him some pain. Right, this is causing him to kind of rethink strategy, to worry about, again, sort of internal some dissent. So it's a fascinating time.
Now, when Trump has said that he can solve this quick,
in the first day, first day in office,
how is that possible?
I don't think it is. I think he speaks in hyperbole, right? So he's just doing that again. He's just like, I'm going to solve this problem. But that's a self-inflicted wound, because then it gives the Democrats a chance to say, well, yeah, he's just talking crazy, and so.
Also, if he gets into office and he doesn't solve it in a day, then it's more of a problem.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it takes him 2 days, in which case, he'll be criticized.
He really would be.
Yeah. Oh, he will. Of course. Yeah.
A full 24 hours after he promised.
Yeah. Once again, he lied.
What do you think it's possible to resolve? Like, what would be the ideal resolution?
Well, I think it is possible to resolve it as long as Putin feels like he needs to find a settlement. If he was making headway, don't get me wrong, they've had some successes in the eastern side of Ukraine where they've been making an offensive against the Ukrainian military. So while the Ukrainian military has been advancing and having some success taking and holding some territory inside Russia, at the same time, they've been having some real difficulties in the Donetsk region and on the eastern side of Ukraine. And but if Putin feels sufficient pain, then they'll find a settlement. I think that settlement is going to look frustratingly like what the lines looked like before this whole conflict started. They're not going to give up. Russia's not going to give up Crimea. They're not going to pull all their military, all their personnel out of the eastern side of Ukraine. And so I think at the end of the day, and this will probably frustrate a lot of people who've been putting Ukrainian flags on their Twitter handles and waving flags and saying we stand with Ukraine. It's not going to look like Ukraine gets all its territory back. It's not realistic, right? So I think that's what the settlement's going to look like. But look, I look at this there's a lot of people out there, right? Rightly so. There's a lot of people who dissent with the whole idea of why are we helping Ukraine, right? I'm not going to wander into that minefield, right? I'm just looking at it from an operational perspective. If the U.S. wasn't helping Ukraine, Putin would own Ukraine by now, for sure. There's just no two ways about it, right? Even with NATO support, and NATO's been very good, EU's been very good. Without U.S. support, Putin would have Ukraine. So some people could care less about that. Okay, it's based on your experiences. Other people think that's a horrible thing. And so, I don't know, I'm just saying operationally, if you look at it and you go, okay, our decision is we can't afford to lose Ukraine to Putin, so therefore we're going to dump a lot of resource and assistance in there. So, Bob's your uncle. I personally don't think, Putin's the sort of person who stops when he gets something, right? His next thought is, okay, now what? Because he's been very clear. Just like the Iranians are clear about wanting to destroy Israel, Putin's been talking for years about trying to rebuild the Soviet Union in some fashion, right? Not the whole thing. So I take him at his word. I think he's pretty serious about it. But I also get the point why people say, well, holy fuck, why are we spending all this money on Ukraine? That's why I'm not running for president.
Yeah, I mean, it is a lot of fucking money, and we have to pay that money. Mm-hmm. That money's not, just printing money, it has consequences. It's not that simple. Yeah.
You know what I love, though, is I do love Democrats now. I've heard some Democrats say, well, but actually, look, this is a good thing. And these are Democrats saying, this is a good thing because that money, well, in reality, the things that we're providing Ukraine are manufactured by U.S. companies. So they're making money, and that's a good thing for the economy.
Yeah, that's what Eisenhower warned you about, stupid.
Exactly.
Fuck are you talking about?
I do love that argument, though. And they're like, oh, well, that's a new tact to take for the Democrats, is to argue on behalf of the military-industrial complex.
It's such a strange way of rationalizing things when the left has always been anti-war.